Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, viewers. Come on in. Trying to invite followers. Hi, Lorna. Thank you for joining. Thank you for inviting your followers. Come on in and join the worship. Yes. Yes. I need you, Jesus. Fall fresh on me. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Rain on me, Lord. Fall fresh on me. Let your spirit fall fresh on me. Yes. Tamala Man, y'all. Tamala Man. That was Tamala Man. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry, I'm getting my hands in the way there. Welcome, live viewers. Welcome, replay viewers. I'm Ramona Jones, author, poet, and life coach, coming to you today to share a little piece in this devotional scope. Today's topic is on peace. And I'm sure you've heard the quote. If you've heard the quote before, know God, and that's the N-O, God, then N-O, no peace. Know God, no peace. And the K-N-O-W, know God, no peace. How do you find it from the web? You would go to www.periscope.tv/Ramona Speaks 2. So if you want to follow me from the web, you would go to www.periscope.tv/RAMONASPEAKS and the number 2. and you can catch me live on the web. So again, welcome live viewers and welcome to all of my replay viewers. On tonight, I wanted to just share with you about peace. A lot of times we go through life, we have a lot of things that are coming at us. There's this thing called work-life balance, and that people are trying to connect with their work and their home and all of the activities that they have in between. We only have 24 hours in a day. And the majority of that time, according to statistics, we spend the majority of our time at work. And then when we leave work, we have a certain amount of hours that we should be sleeping for optimum health, which they say you should get 8 hours of sleep. So if you're doing 8 to 12 hours of work, and including the commute time in there, and then if you're trying to get 8 hours of sleep, maybe you are a caregiver, or you have a family, or you have a ministry outside of your work, or you have just community involvement, or just leisure things that you want to do. The majority of your day is filled with work, and sometimes we get overwhelmed in things and we don't get much done as we would have hoped that we would have gotten done. I had one of those days. I've been having one of those weeks that I've been just feeling so underproductive. And first of all, I would like to say that if you're feeling overwhelmed and underproductive, the first thing that happens is you start to get frustrated and you get upset. And then you start to blame yourself in most cases, or you blame other people. So I want you to find your peace. And that begins with number one, is forgiving yourself. In my scope on yesterday, I talked about taking the out of unforgiveness. And I mentioned that we have to forgive ourselves. A lot of times we forgive other people, and we can't forgive ourselves. We're too hard on ourselves sometimes. So I encourage you to first forgive yourself for any shortcomings that you've had. Forgive yourself for those shortcomings. And then step back and come up with some productivity tips that will help you to get some peace back out of your day. A lot of times, if you're like me, you have a lot of things in your head that never gets down to a list on the paper. So you have all these things that are competing, and you're going in and out of task. And by the time you get to the end of your day, you're like, I know I was busy, I know I was doing things, but what do I have to show for it? And that is very frustrating. So therefore, I would encourage you to make a list of everything that's in your head. Get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, onto whatever tool that you use to take notes. Because if you don't, you are filling up the capacity of your brain and your mind with all of this clutter. So anytime if you think about nature, when you think about your space that you work in, if you have a cluttered space, you tend to feel cluttered. You tend to feel claustrophobic. It starts to feel small and tight. And it's like you can't really breathe. So you need to clear the space. So this is the same thing with our minds. And for us creative people, when we have so many thoughts and ideas and all the work that we have to get done to accomplish it, and that's just maybe one project, but when you bring in all of the other areas of your life that are competing with your time and your attention, then it's exponential how much information that you're trying to juggle and keep. So if you just do a brain dump on a piece of paper, get it all out of your head and down on a piece of paper, at least you can feel safe. Because another thing that we do that disturbs our peace is that we're so protective of what we have to do. We know we want to do it, and we feel like that, if we don't put it somewhere safe, then we'll lose it, we'll miss it, and we'll miss something very important. So therefore, putting it down on a piece of paper is like a safeguard, because you're telling yourself, it's not lost, I captured it. It's captured here on this piece of paper. So you can tell yourself it's safe, you don't have to think about it. Now, another thing is, if you have a lot of things to get done and you want to make sure that you're not missing anything, then go ahead and prioritize that list. And when you prioritize the list, put your top 5 things at the top of the list that you need to get done. And more importantly, what do you need to get done within the next hour? What do I need to do right now that's going to help me finish something or complete something within the next hour? So that's a strategy that I've started to implement in my own life, to say, just like when I got ready to jump on the scope, I was doing a lot of things and I said, oh, it's scope time. So what do I need to do right now to prepare me for 9 o'clock? So I did those things and let everything else go. So they gave me a little bit of peace to be able to come to you peacefully, talking about peace. So another thing that I want to talk about as well is with our peace. Sometimes our peace can be stolen from us by situations and circumstances, by other people, whether it was a wound or a hurt, or someone didn't do what they said they were going to do. Now there's more pressure on you to do it. There are a lot of things that can come and steal your peace if you let it. But you have to take back your peace. Yesterday, I was very overwhelmed with all of the things that I had to do and feeling frustrated because it felt like I had wasted time doing like a lot of research on things and trying to figure things out for myself, because I'm in a new space and I'm having to learn new tools and new approaches and what's the right way to do it. And my perfectionism did creep in a little bit because I wanted to do it perfectly. So what's the perfect way to do it, rather than failing fast and failing quickly? So that's another tip that I would start to apply to my own life, is learning how to fail quickly, rapidly failing. So let's at least get started. Because if not, you'll be procrastinating. You'll have the analysis paralysis, and you'll be spinning your wheels. And before you know it, a day has passed by and nothing was done. You did a lot of looking, a lot of research, but you have no real work to show for it. So that's another point that I would give to you, is to just make sure that you are taking control of your peace. You are controlling your atmosphere. You're not allowing things to come in and just take over you. Set aside your time to organize your day and to figure out what exactly I have to get done, and then do that work. And the third thing that I want to share with you is really about the no God, no peace, or the no God, no peace. So if you don't start off your day with God in it, or if you've been feeling overwhelmed, because I've been finding myself, because I have so much on my plate, I've been finding myself waking up. Like last night, I didn't really go to bed until like about 3:30ish, and I was so tired I could barely see, because I'm trying to get things done, and I'm pushing myself and falling asleep in my work with my laptop in my lap, and I have a 5 o'clock prayer hour that I've set to get up and pray, and I didn't even hear the alarm go off at 5 o'clock. So by the time I woke up, my mind was on the first thing. Oh, I have to do this and get started. Or you pick up your phone and you start to check your mail, check your email, and check this before even checking in with God, before giving him his morning due, his praise, before connecting with the Creator. And so I had to pull myself back. And in the midst of everything that I had to do, I felt like, and if you've ever felt like this, like, oh, I have so much to do, I got to get going, I got to get going, I got to get going, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And then you just ramp up your heart rate and you ramp up your mind, and now you're not peaceful going into your work, and you really can't be creative if your mind is not peaceful. So you have to command peace. Let there be peace. And I just had to shut down. And I had to apologize to God to say, Lord, forgive me for missing our time of worship this morning. And now I stop and I enter in. And I shut everything else down. I come before you. I give you my heart, God. I want what you want for me. So, God, I give you this time. No matter what's on my plate, no matter what else is calling for me, I silence those things and I sit in your presence. And I had such a wonderful time in the presence of God, and I felt so much better for spending that time. And I didn't feel guilty about it because I had to get over the guilt. Like, oh, I've sat here, it's been over an hour. Now, some people can't sit for an hour. You have to train your spirit. You have to train your flesh. You have to train your body to stay in the presence of God, because everything else will pull you out. And so that's where that list comes in. If you write down everything that's in your head that you have to do, so that when you're in your prayer time with God, those things can't keep bothering you, you can remind yourself it's on the list. And if you just have to get it out, have a piece of paper next to you when you're in your prayer time with God. And then just move out, jot it down, and come back in. But make sure that you're spending that time. But when you go deep, everything else is going to just fade away. Once you get to that point in God where you're worshiping Him and you're praising Him and allowing Him just to take over, then everything else just really fades away and time just kind of melts. And that's the place that we want to be in, where we're giving God, His time, because He gives us the downloads. He gives us the answer. Man can plan, but it is God who gives the answer, who gives the right answer. And I want the right answer from Him. So I have to stop and step back and say, God, I need your plans. I need your strategies, because you have a plan that's bigger than me. Because my mind is not your mind. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are so far above me, I can't even comprehend them. So God, I just need a little bit about where you're taking me. I just need you to open this vision up to me. So I need your counsel. I don't want the counsel of my own heart. I want your counsel. And I remember journaling. I was just reading through my journal again today, just kind of pulling back some insights and some things about, who I am and where I'm going and what is my role in this season. What is God really calling me to? So I started going back through my journals and reading some things, because I felt disconnected. I feel like I'm running towards something and I'm not quite sure where I'm running to. So I had to go back and find myself where God had been talking to me in the past. And I read this passage in one of my journals where it talked about that, in essence, and I'll post it. I'll type it up and I'll post it for you. So if you're following me, again, I'm Ramona Jones, life coach and author. You can follow me on Facebook at Ramona Speaks, the number 2, Ramona Speaks, number 2. So welcome again to my live viewers and to any of my replay viewers who are coming in. So I had written in there how sometimes, we come to God and just say, for instance, if you were having a conversation with somebody and they kept looking at their watch and you're supposed to be having a conversation with them, how would you feel? A lot of times we come to God like that in such a hurry. We're looking at our watch like, okay, God, how much time? I've given you 5 minutes. It's time to go. So we're not fully plugged into Him. And I remember one morning, I thought I had fully plugged in my phone. And when I got ready to go, it was not charged. And I was like, I know I plugged this in, but I hadn't pushed it all the way in. So it didn't charge. So when we come to God disconnected, we don't fully get the download. We get a little bit of what He had for us, but we walk away leaving a whole lot on the table. There's a lot of atmosphere between us and God that we don't close when we don't fully connect to Him, when we don't fully give our minds and our hearts and our attentions to Him to hear what He has to say. Sometimes that means just sitting quietly and He's not saying anything. And you might fall asleep, but you fell asleep in His presence. You fell asleep listening for Him. Like a child waiting for their mom maybe falling asleep, but you took the time to stay there to wait on him. So I encourage you that if you're overwhelmed in life by circumstances and situations, you can find some tips to help with your productivity by, like I said, making a list, getting things out of your head and onto paper, organizing them and prioritizing them so that you can get your work done. Looking ahead to say, what do I need to do in this hour that's going to make me more productive or complete a task in the next hour? That would help. But most of all, I would say that we have to spend that time with God. When you wake up in the morning, give him your first place. Give him your priority. And then any time in the day when those storms of life come and start to push against you and feel like they're going to overtake you, then even in those moments, just stop and begin to speak to those winds. Begin to speak to those waves and say, peace, be still. And then we just begin to praise and worship, because God inhabits the praises of his people. So if you begin to just praise and worship him, get your mind off the problem and onto the answer, because God is the answer. So if you get your mind off the problem and onto the answer, then you can walk on the waves. Just like when Peter said, God bid me to come. Jesus bid me to come. And he jumped out of that boat in that storm, on the storm-tossed sea, and he began to walk on the water. He walked on the impossible until he began to look at the wind and look at the waves and remember that he was just a man. And to say, wait a minute, men don't walk on water. What am I doing here? He took his eyes off of Jesus. He took his eyes off of the invitation to come. So God has given us an invitation to come to him, to find peace in him. He is peace, and he gives us peace that surpasses all understanding. Everything around you can be going crazy, but you can have peace in him. So, know God, N-O, know God, no peace. But when you K-N-O-W God, then you know peace. So I wish for you today, or tonight rather, that you know God and that you know peace in your life. And that you begin to include practices that bring more peace to you. Do more things that's going to make your life peaceable. And spend time with God and allow him to bathe your soul and to bathe your heart and to give you the peace that you need in your day. And don't be ashamed to take off time for yourself. We give time to everybody else. We give time to everything else, but we don't give time to ourselves to quiet our souls, to quiet our minds. Now, sometimes I will say that the reason why that we don't stop and quiet ourselves is because we really don't want to hear the answer. We don't really want to hear what we really need to deal with because we're hiding. We're hiding behind some things, or we're hiding from the greatness in us. And so therefore, we don't give ourselves time to sit in that quiet space to hear the peace, because it would mean that we would have to get rid of some things out of the way and to step out of hiding into who we really are. So I want to thank you for joining me tonight. And I want to remind you that on May the 18th, I will have a book cover reveal and a book launch. So follow me on Facebook at Ramona Speaks at number 2, Ramona Speaks and the number 2, and look for an invite on my Facebook page to my book cover reveal and the launch of my book at 1 p.m. on May the 18th. This has been Ramona Jones of Ramona Speaks, life coach, author, and poet, coming to you to tell you not to lose yourself in the shift. Stop hiding. Come out. Come out, come out wherever you are. People are waiting on you. People are waiting on your gifts. They're waiting on your treasures. We need you. Stop hiding. Are you coming? You coming out? Okay. I'm looking for you. I'm waiting for you. Have a blessed night. Bye-bye. Let's leave with the little music. We're going to leave with a little music here. Let's get the music started back. Let's get the music started back before we go. We're going to praise our way out. We're going to praise our way out. We're going to bring back Tamala Man with the rain. Tamala Man. Let it fall fresh on me. Holy Spirit. Fall fresh, fall fresh. Like the morning dew. Fall fresh and new. Fall fresh and new. I need your spirit, Lord. I need your spirit, Lord. Let it rain down. Let it pour down. Wherever you are, let it pour down. Ask him to let it fall fresh on you, Holy Spirit. Open the heavens, Lord. Pour down an abundance of rain. What kind of dry? I'm kind of dry right now. I need some rain. I need that soaking rain. Let it rain down. Pour down. Let it fall fresh. Yes. Let it rain. Let it pour down. I hope he's falling fresh on you now. I hope you're taking this praise break. I pray that your peace is being restored. I pray that those things that are troubling you will no longer trouble you. I pray that you find rest in his arms, that you cease from your own labor and rest in his work. And I pray that those things that are too strong for you, that he will take them for you. That he will fight those battles that are too hard for you to fight. But in those other battles of life, that you need to build up your skills, he'll teach your fingers to war. He'll teach your hands to battle. But I'm asking him to give you a respite right now. A respite. A little bit of shelter from the storm. To call you into his presence. Into his pavilion. Into his strong tower. Where he will be your shield. Where he'll bless you. All right, I love you. I'm going to sign out now. But you keep worshiping wherever you are. Take your refreshing. All right, I love y'all. Bye.